Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Beyond the Broomstick, the podcast that opens up all those opportunities and possibilities that spirituality can bring to you in your everyday life, whilst removing some of the woo-woo that we see on social media. Welcome. My name is Matilda and I am a professional psychic medium here in Australia who has well over 20 years experience in working as a medium, a psychic, a spiritual advisor. And do you know what? I absolutely love what I do. I love showing that evidence. I love teaching people. I love calming people. It is what I was built for. Just wanted to get that in. Welcome to any new listeners. I know there is quite a few. I've seen the statistics. I've seen the numbers. So welcome. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about you. Yep, that's right, you. How your self-concept is getting in the way of you achieving what you want to achieve. I've talked about self-concept a lot on this podcast. I've talked about it on social media. I teach about it. But today is the day we do, I hate this terminology, the deep dive. What you need to know, why you're getting in your own way, why you tell yourself you can't, why you feel as if you are struggling with certain things. Today's episode is about you. So we're going to be talking about that. I have lots of new information I want to share with you. That'll be at the end of the episode. We'll be talking about some predictions that I have already made, just doing a little bit more information. And I'm also going to be going through some of my predictions I've already made and how they have manifested. I'd love to have somebody that I can just point people at when I get people going onto my videos, especially one that I did in July, August, where pretty much every single thing happened. And you get somebody that wants to go, no, that didn't happen. None of that happened. She's a liar. She's a con artist. We're going to talk about that today. Anyway, before we do that, I want to thank all of my new Patreon supporters. I like to get the shout outs out of the way early so that you can concentrate on the rest of the episode. If you don't know about Patreon, Patreon is my extra platform. There's a link in my bio. You can join for free. You don't have to be a paid member. As a free member, you get access to all of my lives, my podcasts, etc. that are open to the public. They're just all in one place. As a paid member, you get a newsletter on a monthly basis. Depends on your level. There is a coffee morning that I have every month that it's just you Patreon members and me. You get my undivided attention. There is extra podcasts, there is extra spiritual information, there are extra predictions, which I know most of you love, and they are all on my Patreon page. So let's give a shout out to my new Patreon members. Without Patreon, I would not be here. Patreon members support this podcast. They support a lot of the work that I do. So without them, I am incredibly grateful. Remember, I know many of you listen from overseas. I am in Australia. We do not have a paid creator fund here. So whatever I do on TikTok is free. Anything I do on TikTok, I get nothing for. I don't like gifts. I mean, basically, I can do an hour live, and I think, and this is why I say to people, don't send gifts. I do an hour's live and I think it's about $1. Anything that arrives in my gifts gets donated to charity anyway, but I prefer people to have that money in their pocket than paying it to me, because I don't need it and I appreciate it. And I do appreciate that some of you want to support me, but the reality is my Patreon members support what I do because there is no creator fund. So thank you to everyone that has joined up. We're going to go through everyone now and give them their shout out. Soul Dad, thank you very much. You've joined up for a year. I really appreciate you. Tina, you also have joined up for 12 months. That is sensational. Amanda, Leah, Lemon Biscuit, what a great name. Debbie Brusky, you have joined up for a year as well. All these people joining up for a year, you are wonderful, guys. Ali F, Laura Moreno, Jasmine Kernert, Jackie, Marta Arquero. I know I've probably bastardized that. I apologize. You have also joined up for 12 months. Samantha, Lorraine Brennan, Melissa Wallace. You guys are amazing. I could not be doing this without you, and it really does make a huge difference. Allows me to do this podcast. There are costs involved. Even though I am my own producer, can you tell when the sound quality is rubbish? But I do it all myself, but there are costs involved. So thank you very much for all your support. It is much appreciated. I've been away this weekend. A lot of people will know I took myself off to Melbourne for 4 days really. And I stayed at the wonderful Crown Towers, which is where Taylor Swift, all you Swifties out there, where Taylor Swift stays when she is in town. Actually, a lot of the stars stay there. It is a beautiful hotel and it is classed as a luxury hotel. I'm going to say I was disappointed. Unfortunately, I was in a room that was right by a lift. Unfortunately, they also put me in a room that had a joining door. Obviously, there was somebody on the other side of that door. That somebody happened to be a family with a child that screamed from 6 a.m. until midnight. I was not impressed. My idea of going away was to take myself away to be able to record some courses that I'm going to be putting out onto Patreon and in my store. You can access them if you're not Patreon members. The courses that I'm going to be putting out in January, all around things like self-concept, which is what we are going to be talking about today, the law of attraction that I love working with, all about empowerment and spiritual growth. And I had to do some writing, some coursework, some getting stuff ready. And I thought, I'll start recording. I could not get a break. I could not catch a break without a screaming child around. So unimpressed. When I spent quite a lot of money on a really nice hotel to, unwind as well as do a little bit of work. So that was very disappointing. So I'm going to have to work on that. Many of you know already that I am not reading in November. I won't be working. Hopefully I'll have enough podcast episodes in the bank for you to still receive the podcast. But I am having quite major surgery at the beginning of November. Don't panic. If you are needing to be moved or your reading needs to be moved, you will already know by now. That's about it. No other news. A lot of people ask me how the buff is after literally every episode. So I am going to tell you that the buff is amazing. He has his new playmate and he is very tired from playing with his playmate. So today's episode is about self-concept. And a lot of you are going to talk about and ask, what is self-concept? How does it affect me? I feel really good about myself and there is no reason why I would have any problem with my self-concept. And I am here to tell you that I can see through most of that shit. When I do a reading for you, if your self-concept or your sense of yourself is struggling, I know that. I have friends that I talk to on a regular basis and they'll always be really blasé about, I love myself. I love myself. You can love yourself, but you can still have a bad sense of self-concept. Your self-concept is going to determine the life that you live. And it really is about the life that you allow yourself to live. And that's the most important thing. We often, due to social constraints, our upbringing, the way that we have been conditioned, so social conditioning, can affect our self-concept. Now, this can be everything from the way our parents treat us, the way our school treats us, the way our siblings have treated us, if we've had a bad experience at school, or even later on, if our first relationships, which can be friendships that can be tricky at certain times, or relationships, they all have a part to play in how we see ourselves or how we have a concept of ourselves. And when we get ourselves into a bit of a fug, and we're sometimes sitting there waiting for someone to save us, someone to make a difference, someone to see us. And we have to see ourselves before someone else can see us for who we are. And sadly, that's the reality. We often think that to receive validation or that well done from someone else is what's going to make things better. But being strong in your self-concept and having a strong concept of self is what is going to empower you for the rest of your life. It's hard to understand sometimes when maybe we've gone through a rough set of situations. It could be that our father is domineering and then we move into domineering relationships. And all of a sudden we think, well, this isn't how everyone else lives or how everyone else gets happiness. Why am I going from one relationship to another that's very similar? And the answer is because that is what you believe you deserve. You have been so conditioned during your upbringing or your formative years that you have an idea of what you deserve. It doesn't matter what you're saying inside or this longing for someone to see you or to validate you. You will always fall back into a comfort zone that allows you to be comfortable, but you're not necessarily happy. Comfort doesn't always bring happiness. And in order to do something, or in order to get something different, you've often got to do something different. And there is no magic wand. It is all around you making a decision that you no longer want to live in fear or live a life that is restricting. But more you want to go out there and start achieving things and doing things and feeling as if you are powerful or you have been empowered in order for you to do some of the things that you want to do. Often you have become, or people have become very stuck in how they feel or how they view themselves because they believe other people view them like that. Self-concept is something that really helps empower people. And one of the ways to empower yourself is to make yourself feel emotionally safe. That may sound a little bit strange, but emotional safety is something that we have all craved at times of need. We have all also wanted that as a child. And sadly, there are some parents that can't give that emotional safety to us as children. Or when we are at school or in those first years of college or working, where we have looked for that validation from other people to make us feel safe, to make us feel secure. So therefore, one of the ways to build your self-concept is to give yourself the words that you need or you wanted to hear when you were younger. Those words of validation that are going to make you feel emotionally safe. They can be anything from I am loved, I am lovable, I am capable, I am amazing, I am safe. It can be anything like that. The relationship between self-concept and life success is so important. Because your self-knowledge shapes your belief and validation of yourself. Having a positive self-concept is an important factor in achieving success. As your self-concept improves, your performance in life is going to improve. The beliefs you have about yourself can greatly influence your actions. If you are fearful, you are not going to be likely to take risks, and your self-concept can help you. Behaving in a way that confirms the expectations you have of yourself is called a self-fulfilling prophecy. For example, if you believe you're a failure, you may be more likely to fail at something, and that's why it's important to be aware of your self-concept and how it impacts your life. If you believe that you are less than other people, then you are going to behave in a way that is less than other people. If you have always been around people that make you feel bad about yourself, then you can revert into that I feel bad about myself when you move away from those people. But what I really encourage people to do is to tell yourself those affirmations every single day that you have longed to hear. By doing so, you empower yourself to not need the external validation. Therefore, you are less vulnerable to be taken advantage of. You are less likely to move from bad relationship or friendship, from bad relationship to friendship. And your belief in yourself is going to build because you have told yourself how amazing you are. You have made yourself feel safe. And that is the important thing. Emotional safety is something we all crave, and we can give that to ourselves so we are no longer reliant on other people's validation or other people's view of ourselves in order to feel confident. Ideally, your self-concept comprises of facts about yourself, but there's the line between fact and fiction. What's an accurate self-description and what's an opinion? Here are some positive and negative self-concept examples to guide you and help you in the future. Get yourself a pad and paper and write some of this down so that you can go back and have a look at these things. Things like positive physical characteristics. I like having shiny hair. I like having my makeup done nicely. They're positive things. Positive personality traits. Do you have humility? Do you have compassion? Do you have empathy? All of those things are really positive that we need to remind ourselves about on a regular basis. Do you have a good ideal about what you do for work? Is it a positive thing? Do you have positive feelings about your work? Are you what about your personal values? Is it honesty, loyalty, integrity? Do you behave in an ethical manner? Those are all personal values. Negative self-concept, things that you have maybe adopted because they are other people's thoughts about yourself, or they're ideas that you feel have become a pattern for you. Negative self-talk is incredibly bad for you. To build your self-concept, you've got to be kinder to yourself. Kindness must start with yourself. We can build, especially if you're English, like myself, or grew up in an English-Irish household, the ability to think positively about yourself can be a little bit harder because our parents constantly put us down, and therefore, and also being positive about ourselves. We were told not to be. We were told to be more humble. Well, we're going to put that in the garbage bin, and we are going to look at things that can be positive about us. But remember, your negative self-talk and negative self-concept stems from negative perceptions of yourself. These perceptions are built over time. They are conditioned within us. And these perceptions can become your biggest insecurities that stop you having a positive self-concept of yourself. They can be comments made by others. They can be comments that are built over time that we hold on to because they are other people's belief in ourselves. They are not necessarily reality. Remember, many people will talk negatively about you or make you feel bad about yourself because it makes them feel better and it empowers them. These things can be things like, I am a bad communicator. I struggle to build healthy relationships. I always fall victim to social comparison on social media. And I will talk about that in a little bit and how bad social comparison, especially on social media, is for your self-concept. Having a negative view of yourself can impact your self-confidence and limit your ability to grow. It's important to develop self-awareness so that you can identify lies you have made and you believe about yourself. So think about the way you talk to yourself. Think about the way that you talk about yourself to other people. Let's change the way that you think. Start talking nicer about yourself, reminding yourself about all the good things you're able to do. Stop falling victim to trying to be too humble and being self-depreciative because it doesn't help you. Look, I can be self-depreciative, but I always use it as a bit of humor. I have built my self-concept over many years. Some people don't know my backstory. Just because I come across as being very confident now, I had a hell of an upbringing. I lived in a household where I was the butt of every joke. I do not remember one time that my parents ever said anything positive to me. And I wish I was joking, but it is the truth. I come from a house where it was okay to be negative and mean to me, and it was encouraged. My parents encouraged my brothers to do that. And it affected me so massively that by the time I was a teenager, that I thought that I was the ugliest, most horrible person in the world. And it took a lot of work on myself to build my self-concept and my self-belief. And if I can do it, anybody can. Now, I am not a psychologist. I am just trying to give you these help patterns that will help you move forward in a lot of areas of your life. If you can identify your negative self-talk, it will really help you. Once you understand the importance of positive self-concept, you are likely going to want to start cultivating it and working to change your negative thought patterns. Identifying negative self-talk is one of the first things, but we've got to change it. If you identify the automatic way that you will go to think about yourself, it's going to help you to change that chatter within your head. Instead of saying things like, it's all my fault, I knew they didn't like me, I never get anything right, I'm not as attractive as my friends, I'm a bad parent, all of those things we want to change. We want you to start talking about things that are positive rather than negative and being consistent about it. Get out of your comfort zone is another thing that I really want you to start thinking about. Part of finding self-concept clarity is knowing your boundaries and the risks you are willing to take. Push yourself to get out of your comfort zone to discover more about why certain things make you feel uncomfortable. Pay attention to how you feel or react in certain situations. This can help provide you what you can accomplish and what is comfortable for you. Stop comparing yourself to anybody else. Comparison, it's true, comparison is the thief of joy. You are an individual and you have a right to be an individual. Social media is making life difficult. I wish I could pull all of the 15 to 19-year-old, probably 14 to 19-year-old girls, some boys, but mostly girls, out of the world and just say, listen, guys, stop comparing yourself to other people. The life on social media isn't real. There is so much that they could learn rather than comparing themselves to other people. However, you guys, if you can stop comparing yourself to your colleague, your friend, the person on social media, your sister, your brother, your mum, your aunt, somebody that did better in an exam, all of those things are not, it's not healthy for you, and it doesn't allow you to build your own sense of self-concept and know just how powerful and empowered you are. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Start living your own life for who you are. It is so important. So the first 3 steps I want you to take in your journey to building your self-concept and your self-esteem is going to be doing your daily affirmations. They are fabulous at reprogramming your brain to start believing the things that you tell yourself. They are reminders of how powerful you are, that I am loved, I am lovable, I am beautiful, I am caring, I am amazing. All of those things, if you do it on a regular basis, your brain will slowly start to be reprogrammed to think positively about yourself rather than that negative self-talk that you have become used to. It also helps you become an emotionally safe. You are so secure, you will become so secure in your sense of who you are and your wonder and your empowerment that other people's validation will no longer hold the power over you that it has held over you for such a long period of time. That is one of the most important things that you can do. The second thing is I want you to start being kinder to yourself. Stop putting yourself down, even if it is in jest. I know I do it, but please, if you just ignore me, and remember that just because somebody told you when you were 10 years old that your legs were too short to be a ballerina, you do not have to hold on to that. There is so much future that people are missing out on because of this sense of self-concept and this feeling of conditioning into being less than. You are the most powerful person in your life. The empowerment that you will have from stopping talking to yourself in a negative way, stop trying to be perfect, and realize that you are individual will make such a difference to you. So sit down with your piece of paper and write all your positive qualities, all the things you're proud of down, and play them in your head instead of saying, I'm too short, I can't wear that, I can't do that, I say too much, I speak too much, I'm negative, I'm negative, I'm negative. How about we do that? I'm positive, I'm positive, I'm positive. Don't compare yourself to other people. I don't care who they are. Don't compare yourself to other people. You will achieve what you need to achieve in the right time. I do not care if somebody has a bigger house, a bigger car, more money. You are an individual and you should be proud of where you are right now at this time. That inside chatter where you were told that you were never good enough needs to go away and be replaced with I am amazing. That inside and that comparison needs to stop. Start setting boundaries with people. This is often the start of realizing that you are bigger than something else, is when you suddenly say no to people because your energy needs to be on you. And people that will continually drain your batteries and push your boundaries are those that do not want you to succeed. So saying no to people and allowing the energy that you would use for something that, I'm not saying say no to everybody, obviously, but if you're sick of being pulled by somebody and somebody is taking advantage of you, then being able to say with confidence, I am sorry, I do not have capacity for that right now, is very empowering. And it is part of that self-concept where you realize what you are worth and what you deserve, and putting up with other people's bullshit and setting boundaries is one of the big learning factors within building your self-concept. Imagine that you have 5 friends, and those 5 friends you have known for a really, really long time. 3 of them only come to you when they need something, only come to you when they need your advice, or they take from you in some way. Maybe they're the ones that borrow money. Maybe they're the ones that phone up to bitch about somebody else. Maybe they're the ones that use you for something. And you have 2 friends that are very kind and giving and include you in things that they want to do and come to you for advice, but they will also be there when you need them. But you find it very draining keeping up with all 5 of these friends. If you keep up with all 5 of these friends and follow their wishes and what they want, it means that you don't have enough time to turn inwards and to work on your own energy and the things that you need. Making a decision that maybe when these 3 friends phone you for a need or advice or to borrow money, they're the 3 that you say, I don't have the capacity for right now. I'm not telling you to choose your friends, but I'm just explaining to you how it should work. Setting boundaries with the 3 that always take and enjoying the 2 that are give and take is how it should be viewed. You should always make sure that you have enough energy to work on your self-concept. The other part of this, and this is the final point on self-concept I'm going to make. Many people with poor self-concept or poor self-esteem have a need to be perfect, have a need for everything to be perfect. They won't start something because if they can't do it well or perfect, they can't do it at all. Perfectionism is what stops you from trying things. If everything has to be perfect, then why would you try? I know so many people that have this ability to write a book. They have this ability, they have a story in their head. They are creatives. They are powerful people that can put pen to paper and write the most amazing words. But in year 3, they took a story home to their mum, and their mum criticised every line of that story. And since then, they haven't written anything. And that's because if it's not perfect, then they shouldn't try. What if somebody criticises them for doing something wrong? Nobody has ever criticised somebody for doing less than they do. Think about that. Perfectionism is the route to you staying sat on your sofa for the next 20 years not trying anything, because if you don't try it, you can't fail. The reality is that your lack of self-concept, your lack of being able to really go out there and try things because of fear of failure is stopping you trying anything. So start trying step by step by putting some of these things into place and see how it can build your confidence. Make sure that you take care of yourself. Make sure that you realize that you are only standing in your way by not trying anything. Write a list. what do you like about yourself? How do you think you would describe yourself to a stranger? How can you improve your own self-care? Because self-care is part of your self-worth. We all tend to not do those self-care things when we're not feeling great about ourselves. Now, I'm not just talking about going and getting our hair done. I'm talking about going for a walk, getting out into fresh air. Self-care looks very different to everybody. Myself, I like a massage and I like to go to the spa. But, self-care is what you feel is self-care. It's very individual. What has been your greatest accomplishment to date? What are some of the challenges you've overcome? And how do you feel about your self-worth? Start putting these things together and working on them, and you will see an amazing thing happen within you. Try responding to the negative thoughts and turning them into a positive. I talk too much. Well, I talk. That's a positive. Some people don't. Start changing your frame of mind when it comes to something negative and twisting it to positive, and see how you come. But self-concept and your own self-concept of yourself is all connected to your ability to grow, both spiritually, physically, and emotionally. And imagine if you had a friend who didn't have a good view of themselves, what would you do about it? Wouldn't you talk to them and try and build their confidence? Do the same for yourself. Just as something different this week, I'm going to talk about my July-August predictions and how they happened. I'm going to do this as a group of predictions happen so that I can explain, if they didn't happen exactly how they were shown to me, etc. But it was quite a large list, and pretty much all of them came in. I always say to people, if they haven't come in the timeline, so, we're in September now, the chances are those that haven't will over the next couple of weeks or months. But I get a lot of people, especially, disbelievers. I don't mind people that are skeptic, because skepticism is an amazing thing. It keeps you safe. But come on, guys, to make comments on my July-August predictions and go, none of that happened, you've got to be living under a rock. So let me just talk you through them and explain how they did come in. And then we will move on to some other things that I have seen showing up in the coming months. It's always good to give you extra predictions. I know I do predict a lot on TikTok, but I have a bit more freedom here. I have more freedom on my Patreon. We are monitored so closely on TikTok, and one wrong move, one forget, or if I forget to say for entertainment purposes only, I can be penalised by TikTok. And if I lose my TikTok page, I lose the ability to help a lot of people. And on that note, I want to talk about everyone saying, why am I not talking about Gaza? Why am I not talking about Poland? That information is on my Patreon. If I talk about things like Gaza, if I talk about things like Poland, I get a community violation. And I do not want that, because then I can't help anyone else. It's not that I don't think it's important. It is incredibly important. I'm not going to lie. I get frustrated by the people that will just go into the comments, free Gaza, free Gaza, free Gaza. Yes, we all want Gaza to be free. We want everyone to be safe. But making a comment on social media is not helpful to anybody. Sorry, and it frustrates me because I can't retaliate, because I am the one that's going to get a community violation. But all that information is over on my Patreon, and I do talk about it on this podcast. And I ran into the protesters in Melbourne, who basically were a real disappointment to Australia. I'm sorry. Many of them had never even heard about Gaza before last October. This has been going on for 75 years. And many of them wouldn't piss on their neighbour if they were on fire. Why they are causing such mayhem, I don't know, because a lot of them were just there for the sake of it. And I can tell you that because I do know that because I'm a psychic. A lot of them had no need to be there. They just were bored that day. Those that are true protesters, those that have a true belief, you do what you need to do. I support you and I applaud you. But if you're just going to be violent, and some of them, the way that they treated the police and the police horses was despicable. Okay, that's my lecture for today. Look, let's talk about July, August 2024. I made a number of predictions. I said the shock departure of a political leader, violence in Wisconsin, public collapse of a person of note, and that was health related, United Kingdom riots, financial assistance package in the United States of America, leaked documents, Trump is undone, no coming back, shock death of a world leader, and assassination attempt. So the shock departure of a political leader is Biden withdrawing from the election. It may not be how some people saw it, but that I was basically shown his departure. I still believe, and I will hold true to the fact that Kamala will inherit the presidency. That is very separate to being elected as the president. So remember I said that. Violence in Wisconsin. There was a certain amount of violence around the RNC. I saw a lot of set twos on the floor, and I saw the senators chasing the head of the Secret Service. There was other things that happened outside. I think there was 2 or 3 people shot in the area around the RNC as well. The public collapse of a person of note. Now, that happened right at the end of August. That was Fat Man Scoop, who sadly suffered a medical emergency on stage and sadly passed away, which is which is very, very upsetting. United Kingdom riots. Unless you've been living under a rock, you will know that sadly the United Kingdom had several quite nasty riots caused by the spread of misinformation online. Very, very sad and devastating for all of those concerned, especially the businesses who were ransacked and ended up losing a lot of money. Very, very sad that happened. The financial assistance package in the USA. Now, I actually saw this as money going to people in the US. I know that there was financial assistance packages released, so I'm going to say that this is a miss on my part, but hopefully there is some sort of assistance package on its way to the people of the US. Whether that manifests itself as cash in the bank or as the student loans, as people keep asking me about student loans, and I know nothing about it. But I'm going to say that's a miss because I have not seen anything about that other than an assistance package that has been put forward for if Kamala Harris becomes president or when she becomes president. Leaked documents. Many of you will know that there were very, very large amounts of leaked documents, both in the Epstein case and from Trump's campaign. There was leaked emails from that campaign and leaked emails connected to JD Vance as well. Trump is undone, no coming back. He is to a certain degree undone. And on that note, I know a lot of people in my comment section are saying it's not going to matter what he does. His followers love him. They're not going to change. No, you know what? They're not going to change. They're not. But you know who does change? Those that are undecided. And there are still a lot of people that are undecided about how they are going to vote. And there are a lot of people that don't vote. And just because he's behaving the way he is, they are deciding to vote for Kamala Harris. That is the way you need to look at it. He is not completely undone, but there is no coming back for him. He has been spiraling out of control. I think we're looking at another month of it. So hold on to that. That is a miss, but I do feel it is coming in, or it partway happened. The shock death of a world leader, the president of Vietnam, passed away very sadly. So yes, that is a hit. And an assassination attempt. That one was definitely something that did happen. And we all saw it play out. And no, I don't know whether it was a planned one or not. I do think that there is information to still come out about that. And maybe something to do with Trump's undoing. You didn't hear it from me. But as far as stuff coming in over the next month or two, I'm going to really try and concentrate on October, because October is a wild, wild month. You think September's been tough, and it's energy-wise. I really want you to work on your resilience and grounding yourself, because it is going to get a little bit more wild in October. There is going to be another assassination attempt. I don't feel like it's Trump this time. I feel like it is directed at the Kamala Harris and her inner circle. So we're talking about Doug's family, Kamala Harris and that inner circle. There is something I feel very untoward. I am really hoping that the Secret Service, obviously they're on top of it, but they foil it. I do feel like there is something that is going to be quite difficult. October is also going to bring in more news about President Biden's health, where he may be unable to perform his duties. I have talked about this extensively on Patreon, but I feel that that is going to bring in a considerable amount of pressure going towards Kamala Harris. As we go through October, the weather in the US in particular is going to be very, very difficult. I will get on to Australia and the UK in a minute, but the weather in the US is going to become very windy. There's going to be a number of hurricanes, especially along the East Coast. Again, something I've talked about for a long time. The East Coast is going to be hit, I think, quite violently. And that is going to also add pressure within the US and tempers to be quite frayed. It may even get to a point that getting to the poll stations, the voting stations, is going to be difficult. So if you're in that area and have the opportunity to early vote, I would do that. But along with the weather is going to come cancellations, and those cancellations will be connected to large concerts. And yes, I am talking about Taylor Swift. I feel like there could be one, maybe two of her concerts cancelled. Now I'm hoping I'm wrong and I've misinterpreted this. And remember, I am always incredibly happy to be wrong when I see things like this. There could be threats made, and there could be weather issues, or they could be colliding. The two of them could be colliding, and the decision to cancel. I do not know what concerts they are. I'm really being pulled towards red states, but above that, I don't know. I'm not holding back information from you. I just am not being given it very clearly, other than it could be a political decision to cancel one or two of her concerts to keep everybody safe. Remember, if she cancels a concert, she's going to reschedule it. It's not ideal, but I'd rather she cancelled and everyone was safe than not cancelled. And it feels that she's receiving quite a number of threats at the moment. I did talk about that on live before she came out with her decision. I said that it would be about 3 weeks before she came out with her decision. And I said that she's been holding off for safety reasons. She wanted to make sure that everybody would, or she was going to be safe, especially should she make that decision, knowing how erratic the Republican Party can be, or the extremists. Let's be fair, there are Republicans out there that are normal, kind, thoughtful human beings. But the MAGA hats and those that are extreme, as with every party, those are the ones we need to worry about. So just if you are going to Taylor Swift, keep an eye on the weather, keep an eye on the news, etc. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is moving away from the US, is Australia. I feel that there is going to be a lot of unrest within our parliament. There is going to be a handful of resignations. I also feel that there is going to be some issues with our hospitals. We may hear of a large hospital being closed down or under it's like it's not working well, or there is something that means it's going to be closed down for a period of time. I'm really drawn to Perth or Western Australia with that, rather than one of the big cities in the east of the country. Our earthquakes are going to keep rumbling. I think that there's going to be one in the Newcastle region. I have predicted that before. I feel like we've been having foreshocks. There's likely to be another one in Melbourne. I don't think either of them are particularly major. I'm going to go around the 5 or below. So expect those. Our weather is also going to be really, really windy and continuously windy for another month or so. I don't know why. This wind is driving me insane. But I feel like it's going to continue, and we're not going to get a real spring until almost November. I was going to say December then, but I feel like more November. In the UK, Keir Starmer under more pressure. There will be news coming out about resignations. He is also going to have a vote of no confidence. Do I think Keir Starmer is staying? No, I don't. Do I think he's going? Not till next year. That's the honesty. News about King Charles. His health is going to decline very quickly. Did I just say King Charles or Prince Charles? King Charles he is now, but if I refer to him as Prince Charles, I apologise. His health is going to rapidly decline. We will hear news of him either being taken to hospital or needing to receive extra treatment and rest. I think that statement is very likely before the end of September. Kate will be seen a little bit more, not a lot more, just a little bit more. I don't think she's completely out of the woods, I'm going to say. I think that she may well end up having to have more treatment or something, maybe the end of next year, the year after. But at the moment, I think that she will be seen a little bit more, and she will decide to announce what type of cancer she had, or you will notice how or what type of cancer she has through her patronage of something. Expect some unexpected photographs. Either she's been seen out, or somebody has snapped a picture of her in somewhere that she shouldn't be, or they don't want her to be. It's going to be very unusual. That's the way I want to put it. But apart from Keir Starmer, I do feel that the Labour Party are starting to kick some goals and push some stuff through. They're going to withdraw a lot of money from certain things that people are going to kick up a stink about. But the reality is there's so much money in the pot. There's only so much money in the pot, and they need it for something else. I don't know what it is. I feel like there is something to do with, again, hospitals, the NHS running out of money, news hitting, like a major news article about the NHS almost having to close down because there's no more money in the bank. So expect that, and a new system for healthcare in the next 12 months. I forgot to add something about the USA, and it's around the Speaker of the House. His job is under threat. I may have already talked about this. I don't always remember what I have said because obviously it doesn't come from me. It comes from Spirit, and once I've said it, I forget it. I feel that his job is under threat because he sides with the Democrats to push the finance stuff through, something to do with the budget. And they're standing up against Trump. All right, well, that is it from me this week. It has been an absolute pleasure, obviously, because I'm talking to myself, but I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you have enjoyed this week's podcast. Get working on your self-concept. You are all amazing. You all deserve to have the future that you want and that you map out for yourself. Your self-concept and your social conditioning is what is standing in your way, and you can do this. You know you can. Before I stop today, I just want to point everyone, if you are interested, on the 28th to the 29th of September, depending on what country you're in, I have an event. It is at 10 a.m. on the 29th of September, Australian time. That is evening in the USA, late at night in the UK. It is your opportunity to watch me work. It is an evidential mediumship display. If you have seen any of the mediumship work that I do that is on social media, some of the videos, those are taken from group events that I have. Often there's about 100, 150 people in the room, and you will have the opportunity for a reading. It is like watching somebody work on stage, but it is in your own home, and it is spirit-led. $50 Australian, you will get the opportunity to take a part in that. We will talk about spirituality. We will talk about the afterlife. You will have an opportunity to ask questions. I hope you can join me. Pop along to my website. I'll put a link in the show notes for you. Lots of love. I will see you next week, and thank you for joining me. Take care.